What's up? Welcome to Shameface. My name is Nikki, and today I wanted to film a video on the books that I read this year and whether I recommend them to you guys or not. If you guys are interested in any of these books that I am kind of reviewing today, I'll have the links down below in the description. And I thought it'd be fun to just kind of go through the books that I've read this year and see, kind of reflect back on whether I liked them, whether I recommend them, whether I didn't really care for them at all. And then at the end, I'll kind of go through the books that I am planning to read this year. So let's do this. Okay, so I selected some of the books that I have read this year that I thought were worth mentioning. I read other books. These aren't all of them, but these are the ones that kind of stood out to me, or that I really anticipated reading and maybe have been a little let down. So here we go. So the first book I want to mention, it's an honorable mention. This is one of my favorite books, series I should say, of all time, and that is the Harry Potter books. I'm not sure if you guys have read them before. I'm sure most of you have, but this year I did decide to go through and reread all the books to kind of bring back the nostalgia, because I was reading these books in elementary school, middle school, high school, young adult. Like, I have not stopped reading these books. I've reread them probably in the teens each. Like, I've probably read this book like 20 times, and like the rest of them maybe 15 to 20 times. And I did reread them. I just think that these books are absolutely just so well written, easy to read. It's easy to visualize all of the stories that are going on. Like, it just really brings in that imagination. And the characters are amazing. I just love the overall story. I just love how everything intertwines with one another. Like, you could read book 1 and then something will come up in book 5 and you're like, whoa, what? Like there's just so much connection between all of these books, and I just truly enjoy them. I will continue to reread them throughout all of my adulthood. I'll be 75 years old still rereading Harry Potter, so I just figured I would mention that. I'm a huge Harry Potter buff. And if you haven't read it, I would recommend to at least read these books once in your life. I think they are fantastic. The second book I read that I thought I would mention was this one right here, A New Earth. And I really enjoyed this book. I have tons of highlights throughout this entire book. There's a lot of things that really did hit home as far as the messages that I was trying to portray. It's basically kind of talking, it's a more spiritual book, it's a more self-help book, and it talks about kind of releasing yourself from the ego and kind of living a more conscious life that isn't driven by your desires or addictions or anything like that, or how people see you. And I really did enjoy it. I would like to reread this book because it did have a lot of messages in there. I highlighted this one right here. And basically what it says is, whenever you are in a negative state, there is something in you that wants the negativity, that perceives it as a pleasure, or that believes it will get you what you want. And I just thought that was a really cool message. I mean, I have a bunch of other highlights in here, but that one stands out to me because I can relate to that. And it talks about being a little more present and not really thinking about the past as much as, or the future as much, and just really enjoying the moment. And I did, Edgar Tolle, I did try to read The Power of Now. I will say that I enjoyed A New Earth a little better. I didn't even make it through the whole book. I still have my bookmark in there. But I thought I would talk about this too, because this is what a lot of people recommend, and this was his later book that he wrote. And I just enjoyed this one a little bit more. This one's a little bit more dry to read. This one had some like stories and examples in it, and this one so far has just been really dry. I would like to read this one though, because this stems off of this, where you kind of let go of the ego, the self, and just kind of live in the moment. And this one was just kind of reiterating that. So I did read them in the wrong order, but I still found a very powerful message in this one versus this one so far. So this is something that I would like to continue reading in 2020. Okay, another book that I read this year was Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I really didn't think I would enjoy this book as much as I did. I thought it was going to be kind of more of like a sappy, girly, lovey type of book, and I never had seen the movie, so Someone recommended this and I said, why not? They really liked it, so I'll give it a chance. And I honestly could not put this book down. I was reading it every single night. I did enjoy it. It's basically a memoir of the author, of her travels throughout Europe and Italy, and I mean, Italy is in Europe, but you know, throughout Italy. Where did she go? She went to Italy, Bali, India. And each travel, she kind of learns a different lesson. You know, each place that she travels, she kind of learns these lessons. I found it really enjoyable. I really did. I just enjoy books where like people go out on journeys and they, you know, find themselves and they tell a story, and I just really enjoyed that. I definitely would recommend this if you haven't read it. It was a really good book. It's really long though. It was really long, but it's a good book. Okay, the next book that I read this year was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I don't know how to say his last name. And this came highly recommended by people in like more of like a spiritual community, and that's kind of what drew me to it. People couldn't say enough about this book and how it had a really beautiful message in it. And I did enjoy it. It is kind of written like a fable or a tale. It's kind of more of like a wives' tale or something like that. And I did enjoy it. It did have some really profound messages in it. I did kind of feel a little empty at the end. I was expecting a bigger, like, ooh, like that's a mind-blowing lesson. Can't believe that I will never live life the same way. But, you know, it wasn't like that, which is fine. I really did enjoy it. It came highly recommended, so I figured what the heck, you know? But I will say it is a little slow. At least for me, it was kind of slow and hard to follow at times. I feel like I just kind of like flipped through pages. So I will say that it is a decent book. It's not bad. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't one of my favorites. I wouldn't like go back to this and be excited to reread it. I will go back to it and reread it just to kind of understand it a little better, because maybe I just wasn't paying attention enough while I read it. But yeah, so that's another book that I read this year, the last 12 months. Oh my God, this is the best book I think I've read in a very long time. It is more of like a mystery type of book, but oh my gosh, this book was so good. It's like a thriller. I cannot say enough about this book. I could not put it down. It's a really easy read. Like the way it's written, you go through the pages so quickly because it's not like overly complex or anything like that. It's very simple to read, and that could have helped with me just blowing through this book. But also you can't put it down. Like, it is so gripping. I love this book so much, and the entire time I really thought that I like knew exactly what was going on. I will tell you, the ending is mwah, beautiful. I love this book. I highly recommend this book. I think I even read this book in one day, if not 2 days. Like, it's so good. I love this book. Please read this book. Anyone out there. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but yeah. This book is incredible. Highly recommended. Definitely one of my favorite books that I read this year. All right, and the last book I have is Ishmael. This was another book that came highly recommended in like the spiritual community, so I figured I'd pick it up and give it a chance. Another slow read, another one where I just kind of zoned out while I read it, and so I don't think I really did it justice. The message I feel like was a good message and kind of like a timeless message. However, I wish I had done it more justice and read the whole thing with more focus. Another book that I do plan to reread in the future to kind of digest it a little better. But basically it's about, I don't know, this gorilla that this guy meets, and they can telepathically communicate, and this gorilla is very wise and gives him like all these lessons and whatnot, and then there's a message at the end of it all. So I would say if you're kind of into that stuff, kind of more of like things that are a little more, that like make you question things a little, like that are a little more deep, and you know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying, but I would recommend this if you're kind of into that type of stuff. It is a it's a little harder to read, in my opinion, because there's a lot of storytelling and a lot of like dry stories. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite book that I read this year, so it's up to you whether you want to read this or not. I'm not really doing it any justice. I would watch someone that kind of understands it a little bit better, because it really didn't like click in my head as well. So yeah, that's kind of up in the air, like maybe not. So I have one more book that I read this year that I thought I would mention, and that is the book Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis, I believe her last name is. I borrowed it from a friend, so I don't have the physical copy, but I will say I really enjoyed that book. I did not read her Girl Wash Your Face book first. I only read the Girl Stop Apologizing book, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of a motivational book, and I just really enjoyed her like stories and how she motivated herself, and I just really enjoyed the storytelling that she did in that book, and it really helped drive in the messages of like being more motivated and kind of not really giving a fuck and just doing whatever you want to do in your life. And I really enjoyed that book. I would recommend that book if you're kind of looking for a self-help type of book. And I will pretend that I'm holding it here. It's this book right here. And yeah, so I would recommend this book. Like I said, I haven't read her first book, so I don't know if that one was better. I think I did read that. I might be mixing it up with another book, but I think that a lot of the things that she says in her second book is just kind of reiterated in this book that I really like. So I'm kind of glad maybe I read that second. I don't know, but I recommend it. I liked it. Pick it up if you're interested in that type of stuff, the self-help type of books. So I also have some books that I do plan on either finishing or reading in the near future, and one of them I don't have yet. It's in the mail. I ordered it from Barnes & Noble like yesterday or 2 days ago, so I don't have that yet, but I will put up a picture of it here. And these are the books that I plan on reading in the near future. So first I'll start off with The Handmaid's Tale. Now I know there is a HBO show. I think it's HBO. Let me see. I don't know. I will put it right here if I research it afterwards, but this book was a book before it became a TV show, and basically it's set in the future where like women are no longer have rights, and it's kind of like a depressing book. I don't know. I've heard a lot about it. The girl at Barnes & Noble recommended it. She said it was good, so I figured I'd give it a shot and read this book. It's been on my bookshelf for probably like 5 months. Like, I'm not even exaggerating, so I do need to pick up this book and read it. But yeah, so that's one of the books I'm going to be reading in 2020. This book I started and just got busy, just didn't make reading a priority. Like I go through phases where I'm like reading 10 books a week and then like no books for 5 months. So this is the one that I started a little while back, and it's called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's basically a little bit more of like a woo-woo type of book, kind of along the lines of like law of attraction and the science behind it. And so I thought it was really interesting. I made it about 89 pages in, and there's just a lot of like scientific things that back up the brain waves and like how it, you know, affects like the things that happen in your life, basically. That's what I get from it so far. And like reaching like a higher consciousness and whatnot. I mean, there's like a lot of interesting things in there that I thought would be neat to read and to learn about. Definitely interested in this type of stuff. So if you are, then read along with me. I know people swear by this book. So we'll see. I'll let you know. And then I bought this a while ago on sale for $7.98, but it's Edgar Allen Poe's Complete Tales and Poems. And now that I'm not in high school being forced to read Edgar Allan Poe, I figure why not give it a shot, see what I think of it with a grown adult brain, see what he has. It's huge. It is absolutely huge with all his short stories and poems and whatnot. I plan to read this sometime in the near future. Okay, and so the last book that I plan to read, which I ordered a couple days ago from Barnes & Noble, so it should be here by next week. The first one is Can't Hurt Me, or not first one, the only one that I ordered. What I ordered was Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind, and Defy the Odds. So this guy is crazy incredible with his mind. He's gone through so much stuff in his life, and he's like accomplished all of these things that like normal people are just like so far away from accomplishing. I think he used to be like overweight, and then he lost a bunch of weight, and then like has some type of world record in running or something. I gotta look it up, hang on. But I did start reading like the preface that Amazon gave you. Like they give you like a few pages to read for free to see if you would like it, and I was like so into it. I was so into this book, and I knew I wanted it. So it's by David Goggins, and it is an autobiography of his life. He went through a lot of struggles growing up. He grew up in poverty, and basically he became like a Navy SEAL, and the only member of the U.S. Armed Forces ever to complete SEAL training. He went to Army Ranger School, Air Force. He was in Air Force Tactical Air Controller training. He's completed more than 60 ultra marathons, triathlons, and ultra triathlons. So he has like, he's been like placed in the top 5 for like a bunch of different records. He was a former Guinness World Record holder for completing 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours. He's a public speaker. I don't know, this guy, there's like nothing this guy hasn't done, and so I really, like the book is about his like mindset and how he's overcome defying the odds and all of that, and I thought that was really interesting. So I did order this book. I've been eyeing it for a long time, and I did order it the other day, and so I'm excited for that to come in so I can read it. That's exciting. So yeah, those are some of the books that I have read in the last 12 months or so, and what I recommend and what I maybe don't so much recommend. Let me know what you guys are reading. If you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and let me know if you plan on reading any of these books. I hope to see you guys in the next video.